to the Welsh Premiership podcast sponsored by My Club Cushions. Today we'll take a look back on round 3 of the Premiership and look ahead to round 4 this weekend. Today we'll look at a Thursday night game down at the Brewery Field between Bridgend and Merthyr. Obviously Merthyr come away with a bonus point victory in the end, a 34-10 win. What did you make of that game, Ad?
Yeah, I thought Bridgend started quite well. Took an early lead, and Merthyr, they haven't been great this season. So at half-time, I know Merthyr had that try right on the stroke of half-time, didn't they? But I thought Bridgend could possibly go on and win it. But fair play to Merthyr, they came out in that second half, looked a completely different team, didn't they? And fully deserving of their win.
Yeah, like you said, Bridgend started off for first half hour, probably they were best side. Obviously, that try just before half time changed the game completely, and then Merthyr come out second half and scored within about 2 minutes of the restart, and the game just seemed to run away from Bridgend. So it's a good win for Merthyr. Like they've struggled maybe start the season, but like a win like that now, do you think you can boost them on to climb the table?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, Roland Phillips hasn't been there for too long, has he? So it was always going to take a while. They made quite a few sign-ins, like big name sign-ins. Takes a while for them to gel in, I suppose. So yeah, now they've got that win. I fully expect them to kick on and move up the table.
Yeah, and 3 heavy losses in the league really for Bridgend. I know there was a win against Ponty in the cup in the middle of it. But what do you think maybe is going wrong there at the moment?
I'm not really sure. I don't think it could be a coaching issue because Tom Smithy hasn't been there long, and we've seen this with Bridgend before. Whoever they've had in charge, they've still struggled. Results haven't changed, so it's definitely not a coaching issue. And you look at the squad they've got. They've got some good players in their squad. So yeah, Bridgend are a weird one. So yeah, I don't know what to say really. What do you think?
Yeah, like we said, the coaching's maybe chopped and changed a few times over the past year. But said Tom Smith hasn't had much time in charge of the role, but he's still got a lot of the same backroom staff involved. So there's a lot of coaches there that know the club. A lot of the squad's still the same squad as well. There's a few newbies and maybe a few lost. But I don't know if there's much belief for the club at the minute, to be honest with you. They even when they're ahead in games, they don't just quite seem to have the belief that they can see those games out. If you look back at Thursday, they were in control and then one try and they just lost complete control of the game. So maybe it's like a game management sort of issue and something, we expect them to work on in the next few weeks, really.
Yeah, you're probably right there. Probably is a confidence issue. They haven't won many games over the past few seasons. Obviously, they had that good run at the end of last season, which just shows a bit of confidence, and they can really pick up some good wins. But I think it's just a confidence issue, and it's going to take some time to iron that out, I suppose.
Yeah, and we'll move on to Saturday's games now. Firstly, Aberafon actually getting their 4th league win of the season this weekend, a 33-24 victory over Carmarthen Quins. What did you make of that game?
Well, they've been on fire so far, haven't they? Fair play to Carmarthen Quins, competitive, only 9 points in it, so they've obviously improved considering they lost quite heavily at home to Swansea the week before. So yeah, I think if you're Quins, obviously you're not going to be happy coming away with a loss, but you'll definitely see some positives there. And as for Aberavon, they're on fire, aren't they? Like I said, made some good signings, really building on last year, and you'd probably say they might be favourites for the league so far.
Well, yeah, if you look at the league at the minute, 4 big wins from them. What impressed me so much this weekend is they made several changes, especially to the backline this weekend. There's quite a few changes there, and the boys still performed. And Carmarthen Quins are not a bad side at all as well. Maybe they haven't got a win yet this season, but they've not been far off. So again, for Aberafon said they're looking strong, and they're probably one of the best packs in the league. And again, they showed that this weekend.
Yeah, and on to the game at Cardiff Arms Park. Obviously, I just mentioned Aberavon as title favourites. I don't think you can write Cardiff off, can you? Showed great character to snatch the win at the end.
Yeah, fair play to Ebbw Vale, mind, losing in the last minute of the game. But I have to say, Ebbw Vale have been outstanding so far this season. I've been really impressed. To think back to last year, we went down to a couple of Cardiff v Ebbw Vale games, and Cardiff would comfortably ease past them. It was a 50-pointer in there as well. So fair play to Jason Stranger and the Ebbw coaching staff this year and what they've done with the club, because they are looking very impressive. But yeah, Cardiff maybe showing the mentality of champions, do you think? Last minute kick, Bernal, fair play to him, 40 metres out, but showing they can win games where they don't play very well.
Yeah, definitely. You could never write Cardiff off, can you? Uh, Coming off the back of a really good away win to Newport, they probably expected to, beat Ebbw Vale quite comfortably. I know Ebbw were much improved this season, but yeah, fair play to them. Teams like that, they always find a way to win, and they did. So fair play to Ben Burnell for scoring that kick at the end.
Yeah, and we'll move on to another tight encounter now with Llandovery hosting Newport. And Llandovery come away winners by 15 points to 13. So what did you make of that one?
Yeah, tight game as you would expect. Newport, it's not been a ideal start for them, has it? But I think there's definitely positives there. Llandovery, one of the best teams in the league. So to go and pick up a point, finish 2 points, but lose by 2 points, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, it's not the result they would have wanted. But Llandovery as well, you can't write them off either, can you? That's a really good win for them. Ground out the win at home, and yeah, they're ones to watch this season for sure.
Yeah, and like you said, I think what's impressed me so much as well at the start of this season, so many teams that look good. Like if we look at Newport last year, we were raving about them all year, how good they were. And to look at them this year, they've not played badly, but Ebbw Vale have been over, who've been outstanding. Cardiff by 2 points, now Llandovery by 2 points. The quality of the league is so good this year that we're going to have plenty of games like this. I said that win is coming for Newport, a couple of points. A few weeks now they've lost out by. But I think they will be growing slightly in confidence and they will start to climb the table and get a few wins on the board.
Definitely. And looking at the game at Parker Scarlets, really disappointing result for Llanelli. When I saw their team, I thought they could really have a good go at RGC on Saturday, but another heavy defeat for them.
Yeah, I said Llanelli, we think will be much improved this year so far. Obviously, maybe a bit of a blip this weekend. But a lot of credit's got to go to Kerry Jones at RGC as well. As we said, at the back end of last season, they were outstanding. And some of the rugby they played on the weekend as well. If you look at some of those tries they scored, the way they beat the outside man, the offload, some lovely moves to come up with a couple of tries. So fair play to RGC, they're outstanding. No, Llanelli, it's one game at the end of the day. We said they have looked better so far this year, but they will be disappointed, with a heavy defeat there.
Yeah, and I think for RGC, it was a perfect sort of performance for them. Parker Scarlet is probably, I might be wrong here, but maybe a bigger pitch than some of the pitches in the Premiership. So for them, they could spread the ball. They love playing running rugby, attacking. So it was ideal for them. Llanelli, it's a bit of a weird one. Obviously, they started the season with a brilliant home win against Swansea, 40 odd points. And I thought, wow, we're going to see a new Llanelli team this season. Their next game, then, they got comfortably beaten away to Swansea. Then last week, then away at Aberavon, I thought they played really well and came away with a losing bonus point. Or was it two? I can't remember. But they're weird. They're just inconsistent, aren't they? Obviously, they go away to one of the best teams in the league last week and pick up bonus point, and then lose comfortably at home. So there's definitely some issues there. But they've got a young squad that's always changing. So yeah, it's hard to judge them so far.
Yeah, and talk about inconsistency. What do you make of Pontypridd this weekend? Going down quite heavily to Swansea after a brilliant win last week.
To be honest, seeing the Swansea team, I wasn't too surprised that they lost, but I did expect it to be a little bit tighter. I know at one point in the second half it was 17 all, and then Ponty just couldn't kick on, and Swansea got that little bit of momentum. And momentum is so big in sport, isn't it? So important. And then once Swansea had the momentum, they sort of ran away with it. I say another, but it was a disappointing result for Ponty, especially coming off the back of a massive win the week before. I thought they'd really, turned the corner, and I really expected them to kick on. But like I said, that Swansea team was stacked with Ospreys players, so I'm not too surprised that they couldn't get the result down there.
Yeah, and you've mentioned the Swansea side. Obviously, we had the likes of Hugh Sutton, Harry Deves, Dan Edwards, Tom Florence, Kai Ems. There's plenty of Ospreys quality players in there. What do you make of the way Swansea going about their business this year? Obviously, maybe acting as the Ospreys second side, bringing a lot of these boys together there to play. What do you think of that?
I think the Ospreys have probably seen what Cardiff did last year with Cardiff RFC and thought maybe we should put them all in one team. And yeah, Swansea, when they've had these Ospreys boys playing for them, they've looked like a really good side. They beat Carmarthen Quins last week, comfortably beat Llanelli the week before, and then put 45 points on Ponty. So, if Swansea can get a team out like that week in, week out, then, they can really, challenge top half of the table, I think.
Yeah, and I know we go on about it a lot, but how vital is it? These regional youngsters getting the experience of Prem level, rather than maybe sitting in the reserves every week. It's good to see them out playing rugby, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. If they're not in the 23 or not one of the travelling reserves, then they may as well be going out and playing for their club. You know, people say the Premiership's not good enough, whatever, but it's better than them not playing any rugby, which I disagree with anyway. But it's better than them not playing any rugby at all, is it? If they're not involved, they may as well go out, get minutes under the belt. So if they are needed by their regional team, they're fit and ready to go.
Yeah. If we look ahead then to round 4 now, the upcoming games this week, obviously the Thursday night televised game on S4C Click, Ebbw Vale will host Llandovery. So how do you think that will go?
Oh, I think it'd be a brilliant game, to be honest. Both teams look really good this year. Um, it's a tough one to call. You know what? With the home advantage, I think Ebbw might just nick it, but it will be a close game for sure.
Yeah, I think I'll back you on that. What I've seen of Ebbw this year, they have really impressed me. Home game under the lights. Hopefully they'll get a decent crowd in as well, in front of the TV cameras. If Ebbw turn up like they have done the rest of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if they did come away with a win. But like we know, Llandovery, they're a very good side, and they'll be a test for anyone in this league, really, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. And if we take a look at the games on Saturday, there's a Scarlets derby down in West Wales with Llanelli travelling to Carmarthen Quins. How do you see that one going?
Yeah, well, I think Carmarthen, first of all, will be bang up for it. Haven't won a game in the league yet. Obviously, a derby as well. And against the Llanelli side, they're coming off a bit of a poor week. So I think it'd be a tight game again. But I think I actually fancy Carmarthen to come away with a win there.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you there. Llanelli, it depends what Llanelli team shows up, doesn't it? If it's the one that played Swansea on the opening day and played Aberavon the other week, then they've got every chance to go in there and get in the win. But if they play like they did on Saturday, then I can't see anything other than a Carmarthen Quins victory.
Yeah, and down to the win on Saturday then, Merthyr will host Swansea. So what are we thinking about that?
I think that's a tough one to call. If Swansea have a similar team out to what they've had the past few weeks, then I can't see any reason why they don't go up there and win. But Merthyr, coming off the back of a good result last week, they'll be confident, looking for a home win, and yeah. So I can't really predict that one, to be honest. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I think, like you said, a lot of it probably does depend on what Team Swansea put out, what maybe Ospreys boys are available. But even though if there's a few that's not available, from the confidence the other boys will have in the squad now, from playing with these guys and getting a few good wins on the board, I think they'll go down there full of confidence, and I won't be surprised if Swansea come away with a win there.
Yeah, and another interesting clash at Sardis Road. League leaders Aberavon travelling to Ponty. How do you see that one going?
If I'm honest with you, the way Abraham played this year, like I said, I think they'll be tough to stop, and I think their pack will probably be just a bit too much for Ponty. I think Ponty will be in the game, first 50, 60 minutes, but maybe you can just see Abraham then running away with it later on.
Yeah, two of the best packs in the league, I'd say. Obviously, Ponty's scrum and line out Mole is really good, and Aberavon as well. Um, I think it's the perfect game for Ponty to get a reaction. They conceded 45 points to Swansea. They're back at home against the league leaders. If there's any game to make a statement, this is the one, isn't it? So I think they'll be tight. And if Ponty play like they did against Bridgend the other week, then there's every chance they could nick the win. But I think I'd probably put Aberavon a slight favourite for that one.
Yeah, and then reigning champions Cardiff will travel north to Park Ayers to play RGC. So what are we thinking there?
Again, another tough one to call. Obviously Cardiff reigning champions, going up to North Wales. RGC coming off the back of a good win. I think I'd pick Cardiff as slight favourites, but the way Ebbw Vale dealt with Cardiff, they still lost, but ran them close last week. Will probably give RGC confidence. They're at home. They'll probably have a good crowd in. It's a long way up to North Wales on the bus for Cardiff, so I think RGC will be fancying themselves, but I'd probably pick Cardiff as favourites.
Yeah, I think I just hope that RGC maybe don't change the game plan. Obviously, maybe against a team like Llanelli, so they'd say, let's go and throw the ball around a little bit more, but it works for them. Obviously, against Cardiff, you need to keep things a little bit tighter. But I'd like to see them, play their game. And I think if they play the way we know they can play, they would give Cardiff a good run.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with you there.
Obviously, there's one game as well that has been postponed this week, Newport v Bridgend, because there's no stadium available for Newport, so that game will not be on this weekend. So that's all we got time for this week. A big thank you to our sponsors once again, My Club Cushions, for all their support. I will be back next week with a guest podcast.